Thanks so much. Hi, everybody. My name is Silent Martyr. I will be running Chrono Trigger New Game Plus on the Super Famicom version of the game. I'm going to talk about a couple of things before we get started, just to help you guys understand what's going on, because I won't be able to do it in the moment. So to start, I'm going to back out into the loading into the intro screen because there's a way that we control the RNG in this game that requires us to wait in this specific menu for a certain amount of time. I have a little GIF on my screen that you guys don't see that moves at 148 beats per minute. I need to wait 16 beats to make sure that the RNG will be locked in. And as long as I execute properly, I will literally know every attack damage value throughout the rest of this run as long as again I input correctly. And the only yes, it's actually OG happy dude. It's actually going to be less than 10 minutes. I just give an extremely uh generous um estimate so that I can give you guys plenty of time to adjust for the usual marathon shenanigans. But yeah, so let's get the run started, and then timer won't start yet, and I'll let you guys know when to start it. So I'll be silent for a little bit, lol, uh, while I count this out. Okay, so we choose wait because we need to do this to help control and manipulate the RNG. If we did it on active, then the enemy's timer bar would be flying, flying, flying. Wait allows us to hold things when we're in menus. And so the first couple things we want to talk about is the equipment menu that I'm going to be doing in a little bit. We're going to be equipping Chrono all out. He's going to get Haste Helm, the Rainbow, Nova Armor, and Prism Specs. And Marl is just going to get a Prism Helm, and that's really just to keep her protected from status effect attacks that Lavos has. The other thing that I'm going to be doing right after that menu is what we call Candy Skip. If you're familiar with the game, when you try to go to the telepod area after it's opened up, Marl will stop you, and we can actually get around that trigger by movement. And the timer is going to start right now. So we're going to start by skipping these name intros as quickly as possible. It's actually frame perfect. We can have a black screen and not see it at all. But for the purposes of this marathon run, it's not super important. That's more of like when you're going for world record and those milliseconds all count. We're going to run into Marl here, and we want to talk to her right as she's walking over Chrono's slumped over deceased body. And if we stop her until the bell stops chiming, we can then position her so that she's right on top of us. This is extremely important because she walks incredibly slow when she joins the party. So having her as close as possible is incredibly important. So then here's the shop I'm talking about. And then again, right now, we're just going to try this candy skip out and see what happens. Nice. So instead of having to wait the like however many seconds for her to figure out what candy she wants, we just fly right into the next screen and dodge it all. So here we're going to go into the menu. When the screen is fully black, the game allows you to enter that options menu if you hold X right at full black. It has to be full black or otherwise it won't work. So we'll know that we're on RNG because Marl will take 493 damage from this. Chrono will take 150. And the shell is very quick. It's only 10,000 HP, so Chrono's Luminaire will do 6,000 of it, and then we'll finish it off with an Ice Sword 2, which is a little bit faster of an animation than Luminaire, so that's why we use it to finish it off. So we're going to use that menu ability again, but this time, since we don't need to go into the menu, we can cancel the menu as soon as it opens, and this skips a load here and makes it a lot faster. So you'll see we like immediately come in. If you're familiar with the game and you know this part well enough, it's a very slow fade in, and it's about 2 seconds that it takes, and we just skip that entirely. So Inner Lavos is pretty simple except for one part. and that's the second Luminaire. We need to kill his arms before he can get off any extra attacks. So he'll have his laser Doors of Doom attack, and that's the only attack we want him to have with his arms. And we set the earlier in the options menu, we set the battle speed to 2, but more importantly, we set the memory to on so that we can just mash directly into Luminaire from the tech menu rather than having to scroll down each time. So now we're just going to have to wait a little bit because we need Lavos to do this attack and drop his defense before we can continue to Luminaire him. And then we'll have Marl just be an ether assistant. So she's just going to throw an ether at Chrono, max him back out, and then we'll just spam one more. And then we'll have to be a little careful here and just make sure that we do the Luminaire first, and then we'll finish off the inner with Ice 2 from Marl. Yeah, my PB is 6 minutes and 21 seconds for this run. For marathon purposes, I can usually keep it under 7 minutes. And then that finishes off the inner Lavos, and then we'll have the final core phase next. But first, we'll have another one of those menu skips where we try to dodge the slow fade in. The fade in is a little quicker on this one, so it's a little bit easier to do, but we still like doing it just to make sure that we get all the time that we can. And yeah, happy dude. This is a really great run to learn if you're looking to get into Chrono Trigger speedrunning. Um, it's can be done on emulator, so you don't need to worry about having like a $250 to $300 cartridge or anything like that. So we're going to start out by confuse on the left bit. This will kill it instantly, and then Marl's going to shoot the right bit. This will allow the right bit to realize that one of its party members is down, and it will drop its defense so it can activate its revival ability. Because it will not use its revival ability if its defense is up. So now his defense is down, we can start spamming Luminaires again. And the center bit will change the time to 1000. And then we'll just do one more Luminaire to finish off the center bit. And then from here, we're just going to be spamming Luminaires to finish off the final bit. And again, one more Hyper Ether for Chrono, and that will be the last thing that Marl needs to do. And we just need to be careful here to not overmash and accidentally Hyper Ether again once Marl actually has her turn back. And we have one more Luminaire after this one, and that will literally wrap up the run. It's a super quick run. It's really beginner friendly because and see, I was a little too fast there, and that's okay. It's really beginner friendly. It doesn't require you to spend a lot of time practicing stuff, and then the timer stops now, and that's it. That is Chrono Trigger New Game Plus. You can also do this in English. The strats are exactly the same. It's only slower because it's only slower because of the text with it. You know, you'll have like 2 or 3 text boxes in English versus like 1 text box in Japanese. So it's a little bit slower because of that mashing. So you can definitely learn this in English. When I picked up this run, I used my own personal save file that was already maxed out. For the Japanese version, in our speedrunning Discord, we have a file that you can download and use. So this is just a great run for anyone to learn, especially people who want to learn RPGs but don't have like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours of their day to dedicate to like some long speedrun. And yeah, and this is the developer's ending. So if we ran through all this, we would get the dream team at the end. This is the hardest ending to get in the game, and it's a appropriate ending for this great game and speedrun. Thanks for the GGs, everybody.